for joining us today. Really, really excited to have our guest, and let's make sure you can see my screen. Awesome. So again, yeah, really excited to have Shoes of Prey with us. Going to go ahead and get right into it, and then you guys will kind of feel the flow here. As with every single Salesforce webinar that we do, we have to share our lovely safe harbor statement. Especially in the Q&A today, we might address some forward-looking statements or some product roadmap stuff. And if that is the case, all we ask as a publicly traded company is that you please base all of your purchasing decisions on currently available technology. Good times. So I'm really, really happy. First of all, I'm Elvis Greer, Product Marketing Manager for Desk.com, and very, very excited to be joined by Dione David, who is Head of Customer Happiness at Shoes of Prey. Dione, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Really, really glad to have you. So connect with us. You guys are going to connect with us now in real time. You're going to be able to ask us questions throughout the webinar and afterwards. And we're recording this session, so that means it's going to go up on our YouTube channel. And for everybody that's registered, and especially for those of you that are attending and know people that have registered but can't attend, please tell them they will receive a link to the recording. I get that question a lot, so I just wanted to address that to make sure that nobody misses all this great content. So, Dione, let's kick it over to you. Let's tell the folks on the phone right now, what is Shoes of Prey?
Okay, well, essentially it's a website, or started off as simply a website that allowed women to design their own shoes, which we then handcraft and ship straight to their door. So it's a multi-channel e-commerce that allows women the complete autonomy to make decisions about what they put on their feet. We're looking to sort of disrupt, I know that that word is used quite often, but we are looking at disrupting the status quo and changing the way that women shop for shoes forever. We believe that design your own is something that can be applied throughout people's lives. We just happen to be pioneering the design your own shoe movement. So essentially what we're trying to do is really promote this movement. We believe that mass customization is the future of retail, and that's what we're bringing to the world.
Awesome, awesome. I know from a male perspective, I admittedly sometimes spend about 30 minutes to an hour trying to find the right pair of shoes. So I can only imagine, with the female species, how long and how painful that process can be. And I know, and again, the folks on the phone will hear about the amazing growth this company has experienced. And so, the answer really is that people love this, this opportunity to make their own shoes. And I can't wait for you to tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I mean, did you want to know, should I tell them a little bit about Jody's story and why this was founded?
Yeah, please. That's a really compelling story.
Okay, so Shoes of Prey came about, the seed idea anyway was sort of spawned by Jody's own issues finding shoes. She could just never quite find exactly what she wanted. Either there was an embellishment that she didn't want or a heel height that was wrong for her. So she started getting shoes, started having them made on business trips to Asia. And so at the same time, she had her two colleagues, or two co-founders, Michael Fox, who is ex-Google, and was very much interested in getting into a business in e-commerce. And so was Mike Knapp, who actually developed our 3D designer. And the three of them got together and were looking for something that was really sort of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Seth Godin's The Purple Cow. They were quite inspired by the idea of creating something that was really different and something quite compelling that stood out. So they got together, honed their skills. Shoes of Prey was born in 2009. So yeah, it's really just born to solve a problem that Jody was having, and that's really what it's all about.
Awesome, and I think this is one of those ideas where like a million people are asking themselves, like, why didn't I come up with this idea? So it's really, really great that somebody's finally doing it, and that it's actually, there's a lot of traction there. And so as compelling as the business itself is, I know just based on our conversations that how you approach customer service and how that parallels to your actual business model is equally compelling. So if you could, please just kind of take us through what does customer service mean to you as the head of the team and Shoes of Prey, and kind of touching on the 4 points that we have here on the slide. But please, tell us kind of what your philosophy is.
Yeah, well, I think everyone here knows that the landscape that we're looking at, this retail landscape, is quite sort of saturated, apathetic, and our customers sort of have come to realize that they don't need to compromise anymore. So we are bringing that to them with manufacturing on demand, as well as in-house technology, but to tie that all together, it is stellar customer service. It's a very personal product that people are buying. Essentially, we're asking them to buy something they've never seen before, unlike, that traditional shopping experience where you're looking and you're feeling and you're touching and you're trying things on. So it's a really personal product. They've designed it themselves. It's their sort of idea. They put a lot of themselves into it. So they have very high expectations for very highly personalized customer service. Our big, hairy, audacious goal, as we like to call it, is to make 1,000 pairs of shoes a day by 2017. So we believe it's sort of lofty but achievable. And the way that we're going to get to that point, there are several roadblocks in asking a customer to purchase something they've never seen before. For example, the three main ones, I guess, are sort of sizing confidence, design confidence, and product confidence. So building confidence as a whole. So, like any good business, the answer for us is not to proportionately increase staff to be there to answer customer questions and build up their confidence and that sort of thing, but to scale our processes intelligently. So they should be seamless. The idea, or a big part of my job, is to ensure that a customer goes on the website and in using the website shouldn't really have any questions because it's so intuitive and it's so seamless that the customer journey from point A to point B to point C right down to the end doesn't really bring out any questions. But if there are questions, and it is quite a complex product and a complex idea to put across, there are trillions of iterations, literally something like 100 trillion iterations available on the website. So it can be quite daunting, but if they have questions, they should be able to navigate around and find them organically. That said, we do have an amazing customer service team of 6, and they're there to answer questions predominantly via desk and email. And then we've got other platforms that we use, chat, phone, etc. All of these sort of plug into Desk.com, and that's how we go about it. So it's all about sort of reducing questions and encouraging organic self-service. And one really good example of that is our online self-help portal. So like I said, if a customer has a question, they should be able to find the answer on our website. That actually plugs into Desk as well, and we can control the information that we put out. We can create a forum-like result as well that customers can use and be interactive, and even sort of create almost like a little shoe community, a shoe community. So yeah, that's sort of what it's all about.
So yeah, I want to pause, and especially for the folks on the phone, something we at Desk spend a lot of time on, and our guys here, especially in the product team, spend a lot of time on, is self-service, or helping, as we like to say, helping customers help themselves. And Dione, you're a perfect example of this. And so I really wanted to pause and say, for the folks on the phone that are working for a growing business, like a business that's just getting started, or is facing rapid growth or quick success and trying to learn how to scale, Dione is really putting forth a very, very valid point here. And if you didn't catch it, it's that self-service is important for a lot of reasons, right? And the two main reasons is if you can help your customers answer their own questions, your agents can spend more time working on more important issues. And they, as she puts it, can organically help themselves, right? So if you have a very effective, a very robust, and a beautifully designed, easily navigable self-service site, people will go there first. And not only that, but they're going to appreciate your product and your business more for it, right? And Dione, can you speak a little bit to that again, like the self-service portal as an extension of your brand, as well as helping you with that, that goal of scaling intelligently, not proportionally?
Yeah, so I mean, it sort of ties into that old adage that if you should plant your last potato rather than eat it. It's just it's that ability for a customer to, if they have a question, rather than picking up the phone or writing an email to a customer service person, being able to find that, navigate that quite easily. And I think people in this day and age are quite savvy when it comes to that, and they almost expect it. Every website has its own FAQ section. This is like an extension of that. It's much more robust. You should, and building and populating that and building the content is key. And part of that is just, using the platforms that you've got for customers to communicate to you, to identify what are the questions that people have, and just loading it up and tagging it intelligently and sorting it out, making it seamless, etc. So our questions section on shoesofprey.com, like I said, it plugs into Desk. We control the content, and the customer service team itself can actually control the content. So we have a style guide so that we keep the content consistent. It stays in line with our voice, and it, even in terms of the formatting, etc., is consistent and beautiful. But yeah, it's handing that power to your customer service or customer happiness team, because at the end of the day, they're your greatest asset, and they're the ones that have that content to populate with, and they're the ones that know what the customer wants to know. So yeah, and then you've got from there, we've got sort of customers can actually ask questions on the questions page. They can be answered by us, and in Desk, we can mark it as best response. We can make it visible. We can allow or not allow people to ask questions. There are sort of advantages and disadvantages to both. Obviously, if you've got a customer, for example, who's asking a question that might create more questions, you want to be able to sort of also control that conversation, so that people, it's about sort of curating that so that people get the answers easily.
Awesome. Thank you so much for elaborating. And again, folks, Shoes of Prey is very lucky in the fact that they have a very unique business model and a very unique business. But, let's say you work for a company that maybe your product isn't the only one in the market. Maybe it's a little bit more pervasive. Now, if I, as a person that doesn't know much about your brand, am searching, like, let's say Google for information on your product, like, let's make sure that your self-service portal is the one I want to go to. Let's make sure that your portal is the one that answers my product questions better than anybody else, because at the end of the day, your self-service portal is going to be an extension of your brand, and maybe that's the first touch people see of your brand before they interact with your company. So it's very, very, very important. This isn't something you should put off, but this is something rather, as soon as you have a technology solution for your customer support team, that you should focus on first and foremost. It's kind of like, this is what everybody sees. You want to start here and work your way in. So thank you, Dione. So moving on. So this all extends. It's all related. You talked a little bit about, actually in some very, very valuable, helpful details about your customer service values and your experience. And so to give people an idea of what that really looks like from a growth perspective, or how that's actually working for your business, let's go ahead and really quickly just hit on these 3 bullets. Like, how did you talked about having 6 employees. Can you maybe talk about, since 2009, what did that team, look like very briefly? And then just kind of what did growth look like, and how has technology, and again, we'll get more deeply into technology, but how did you come to that decision that, hey, we need a technology solution for our support team?
Yeah, well, so the decision sort of took place before my time at Shoes of Prey. Back in 2009 when we were founded, like any good startup, it started with, 3 people, the founders, working from their kitchens and their lounge rooms, etc. They were everything. They were accounts, they were customer service, they were product, etc. So yeah, essentially what you had was three founders with their finger in every pie, partially answering questions from customers, etc. So they sort of built the foundations, and that was via, I believe it was just via their Gmail account. So obviously this is not something that was back in the day when it was amazing for us to sell 4 pairs of shoes in one day, and we were like, oh my goodness, if we could do this, like we'll be millionaires. But obviously business did grow. And when I joined Shoes of Prey about 3 years ago, I was one of 3 hires that was added to a team of 3 customer service people. And at that point, they were already using Desk. So that was 2010, I believe, when they made the switch over from just using Gmail to Desk. And the issue was just, it wasn't just even, a better, more sort of seamless process, but it was about sharing the process. It was about, easily finding records of everything that was communicated to customers. It was about giving all of the agents that freedom to access all the information and make it seamless from the customer's perspective. So we went from one employee in 2010 when we first started using Desk to 3, and then in 2013 we got 6, myself included, and sorry, 2012. And then back then when I started, interestingly, we had the 6 full-time agents handling about 8,000 agent interactions per month. Email to order ratio was around 3.59. And you fast forward to this year and we handle about 12,000 agent interactions with no increase to the CH team whatsoever. So still 6 people. Our most recent recorded emails per order ratio was an all-time low of 2.1. So for us, that ratio, the email to order ratio, is the golden egg of customer service. That's what's telling us that we're scaling intelligently. So obviously, orders have gone up, but if a customer inquiry is not proportionally going up, then that means that we're answering those questions proactively through the system, through the self-help portal, etc. So we've got our 6 based in Manila, and we actually got myself. I'm based in Sydney at the moment, but all of our ADMs in our stores that we've got here in Australia as well as in the US. They're all able to sign into Desk and use it. So all over the world, also in China where our product is made, people are plugging into Desk. People are getting access to that information. It's really I don't really know how we would work without it at this point, to be honest. In a nutshell, despite an increase in emails, which is inevitable with rapid growth, staff members have plateaued and the email to order ratio is trending downwards. So I guess what you're looking at there is what are the factors? Like how do you do this? How do you scale to that point? It's been really, really it's been quite a ride, and it's been really successful. I'm quite happy with the way it's working out. So
awesome. Yeah. And I love how I hear that you guys are learning as you're moving forward, right? So you're not making the same mistakes. You're always improving. And of course, kind of the title of this webinar about insights and integrations. And I know both of those, insights and integrations, play a very valid role into helping you guys maintain, zero growth in agents, but continually growing the number of orders as well as the number of cases that you're solving. So I think that's another key learning here. And so, again, thank you so much for sharing that insight. So let's go moving on here. So for those of you that don't know much about scale or come over from other technology solutions, But Desk.com very, very easily allows you to bring in all customer service channels like social, chat, phone, email into one location to do, again, exactly what Dione mentioned, was to share information, right? Amazing support teams know exactly how to collaborate efficiently and effectively. And that doesn't mean 3 agents are working on the same case. That means everybody knows what they have to do to be successful, and Desk.com is a tool that allows you to do that very, very easily. The whole optimizing for customers part means there's a lot of productivity tools in place. Again, we'll talk about that very, very shortly, that make your agents faster. And that's ways to automate workflow, automate behaviors that your traditional business would just do manually, and it would take a lot longer to do. And then finally, the measure, adapt, and grow piece, it's all about insights. And again, I promise I didn't pay Dione to say these exact words, but what she mentioned about learning and moving forward is all about, do you have a visibility into your customers' actions and what they're saying about your product, about your business, about your service, that allows you to learn from that feedback and to improve the process going forward. And I'll tell you, it's not just improving the customer support process. We have a lot of customers that actually use customer support to improve their product, to improve their service. So there's a lot you can do, and if you don't have a technology solution like Desk, or any technology solution for that matter, you're going to miss out on these key insights. And the people that are doing something similar to your business that have a much better solution in place for support are going to outpace you and are going to win in the market. So with that, let's move forward. So Dione, how does Shoes of Prey use Desk.com? Of course, we have some great productivity examples up here, as well as business insights. So maybe you can just go around the slide and talk about how these things affect your business.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's lots of factors. We've talked a little bit about how the business has actually scaled and what that looks like. Several factors that have contributed to the success of our customer happiness team. But obviously, we're here to talk about scaling. Like, there have been scaling efforts on our website, but we're here to talk about support and how to scale intelligently using your software. So Elvis, are we on slide 7?
Yeah, with the it should be macros, labels, rules, business insights.
Right. Okay. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, that just sort of ties into the whole knowledge is power. So my role, apart from managing the customer happiness team, and that's everything from scheduling, etc. But apart from that, one of the things that I really enjoy about my role is that we've got Desk.com to business insights, that aspect of Desk.com, which is absolutely one of the most important parts of my job. So our CH team uses labels. It's a given, and every email is tagged with a label saying what it's about. So that's invaluable for my job in the sense that when I hop into Business Insights, those sorts of things can actually dictate the process changes, the projects that I recommend to the company for scaling. So, for example, if I check out the Business Insights for the past month and I notice, oh, hey, returns it accounts for 35% of our emails. That's a massive percentage. Like, clearly there's an issue with how our returns are working. Customers are asking lots of questions about it. Let's come up with a way to automate this a little bit more. Let's make it more seamless. So then that will actually dictate how I mock up a project to then give to our tech team to implement. Another example might be that we've noticed that emails labeled design advice they have the highest AHT, or average handle time. So clearly we need to scale that. Like, that's something that's a real great opportunity to scale. So let's create a virtual designer online. So it's like a questionnaire that customers ask all their questions in one go. It spits out a diagnosis that then our customer team steps in at that point to help them. So your insights, your labels, these are ways that you can really analyze the metrics that should drive your business: average handle time, time to first response, case reopen rate. So time to first response obviously is a measure of how effective your team is, how well your hours are working, and just how efficient they are. And it's something that is particularly important for customers. I'm sure that everyone knows that customers these days have really, really high expectations when it comes to response times to their emails. It's no longer okay to be waiting, 2 days for a response. Case reopen rate is something that we use to measure quality. So if a customer happiness person is answering a customer's questions proactively and understanding everything that a customer could need, and then answering those questions, their case reopen rate should be really low. So it's ways of measuring your business insights and things like that are ways of measuring quality. It's a way of measuring efficiency, but it's also a way of understanding what the customer is asking for, what they need, and how you should be targeting your scaling efforts. And then there are things within Desk and these systems that can help you to improve those metrics. So things like macros and canned responses. We use them in almost every single email that we send. The fact is, customers do tend to have a lot of the same questions, and yeah, this is a way that you can answer them in like split seconds. So that's kind of breakdown of how we use Desk, and then we've got obviously our other softwares that plug in to Desk. Email is not the only platform by which our customers contact us. They can contact us via phone. So we use TalkDesk, which is also a Desk plugin. That means that all of us, myself, as well as the team in Manila, as well as anyone in the US, can essentially sign in online. It's like Skype, I guess, in that sense. And they can all access this platform by which we receive and make calls. And then that actually generates a ticket in Desk. So we've got a complete record of all of the calls that we get. We use Olark for our chat, which again plugs into Desk. So it creates a record of all the conversations that we have with customers. How long did they take? That sort of thing. We've got our customer self-help portal, which I've already mentioned. Questions that customers ask on that portal are generated as tickets in Desk as well. And that's actually how we answer their question, which then appears on our website. So obviously through a kind of API integration. And then what else?
Nice reply.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So nice reply. It's a quality measure, because what we've found is, so in terms of giving customers what they want or what they need, what you've got to do is listen to them. Essentially, it sounds really, really simple, but it is actually a really complex task, myriad in its potential solutions. So the way that we ask for that feedback from customers, one way is through our NPS, or Net Promoter Score, which we send before and after transactions, or after receiving their shoes, and that's broken into 3 categories, and one of them is customer service. So what we were finding, however, with this is, while it was a great sort of snapshot, the customer doesn't sort of discriminate when it comes to customer service. They sort of see the entire process as the customer service. So if they weren't happy with an aspect of the product, for example, they could sort of mark you down in the Net Promoter Score. So we found that it sort of muddied the results. So what we looked at was Nice Reply, which is again a Desk plugin. The customer receives their response from the customer happiness wonder person, and they can then give us a score as well as leave a comment. And this has been, for me anyway, a key in measuring, not only measuring quality, but also our efforts in training staff and really sort of lifting the bar there. So our Nice Reply average is 9.5 out of 10. We get a report every week that sort of says, this is your team's average score, this is the best, the most improved agent, this is the least improved agent, and then a breakdown of every single email that's received a score. So you can, personally as a team, what we do is we look into every score that's sort of 7 and below, and then you can actually click in, and it takes you straight, like click onto that in Nice Reply, it takes you straight into Desk to that case that has made that customer unhappy. So it's a really, really targeted way of understanding what's upset that customer, how do we improve as a team, how do we fix this. So that's been invaluable for us in terms of like quality assurance.
Fantastic. And just so and again, you mentioned so many great things here, and I want to make sure everybody is really tracking with this. And so number one, moving back to the productivity tools. So macros, as Dione kind of stated, are basically just automated responses to frequently asked questions. So if somebody says, how long does it take for my shoes to get to me? How much is shipping? Or from some companies, I forgot my password to my account, right? So these are questions very easily you can program with a macro, and instead of having your agents respond to people over and over again with the same questions, you can click the mouse a couple times or with a few strokes of your keyboard, and you've actually completely resolved that case by answering that person's question without having to type anything. And labels are, again, just really kind of like cosmetically, enhanced kind of buttons that go on all of your cases, so that you can much more easily see what types of cases you're getting. And you can program and design those labels to be whatever you want and to appear based on, what is mentioned in the email, who is sending the email, et cetera. There's a lot of rules you can actually create within Desk to do that. And all of that feeds into business insights. And as, Dione was speaking, again, about integration. So Nice Reply, TalkDesk, OLARC, Desk gives you the opportunity to choose the partners that you want to partner with and have that seamlessly integrate into Desk.com so that you can also use the insights from those third-party apps in Business Insights as well, and to gain insights and to have everything in one place. Because, again, if efficiency is the key, and as a small business or a growing business, if you're trying to do more with fewer people, you need those agents and your team to spend more time actually solving cases as opposed to going to 10 different screens and going back and forth and trying to find information in different places. And I mean, I guess so Dione, would you agree that integration into Desk and the importance of that helps the efficiency and the productivity of your agents?
For sure. So, well, it helps us in a few different ways, but I guess the main ones are it makes all of the information coming in from customers via several different channels quantifiable, and you can understand, you'll use those to sort of decide your scaling efforts. But also, I mean, this is something that people can access from all around the world. They can plug in and they can see phone calls, they can see chats, they can see emails. It's absolutely invaluable.
Great, thank you so much. So let's move on. So we're getting to the end here, and like all great partners and great businesses and great customer service teams, you've already done so much already, and hopefully people have caught that. But what's a few more pieces of advice you have for the folks on the phone that are trying to be an amazing customer service team? And again, feel free to use the bullets that you and I discussed before, Dione, or feel free to just speak to whatever's kind of coming to you now. Just what kind of advice do you have for everybody out there?
Yeah, so I mean, these are the 4 points here are pretty good, I think. Let data drive your scaling efforts is just essentially the content of this entire webinar. I think if I can give you one message, take away, and it's not it's not rocket science, but I wouldn't make emotional decisions or decisions based on gut feeling. When I have, sometimes it's a bit hit or miss. Let data drive your scaling efforts. So whatever software you use, make sure you've got visibility on it, make sure you can quantify it, make sure you can understand what metrics you should be looking at, and that should be, that work for your business, and that you should be understanding better for your scaling efforts. So for us, obviously, customer service team email to order ratio is probably a pretty common one in e-retailers. But there are other metrics that we personally look at, and it's things like, design advice is an email that we get that has a really high average handle time. It's not necessarily something that anyone else needs to look into. So understanding how that that data and the metrics, affect your business. And understanding that, part of that, what we find sort of goes into the next point, which is to find your North Star metric. So there's been a lot of discussion about this in Choose a Prey of late. Traditionally, there are a lot of metrics we could look at as a business that could bring the team together in a common goal, and a lot of them tend to be sort of sale oriented and number oriented. But one of the numbers that we really want to look at is the net shoes to customer. So we'd actually like repeat purchase to be our North Star metric, as we call it. So that's the metric that every person in the business, from product to manufacturing to marketing to customer service, everything should be looking at that metric and should be letting that drive their decisions and asking, okay, well, is this going to increase, repeat customer purchase? Understanding your metrics and understanding what your company should be, the sort of North Star metric that your company should be following, has proven invaluable to us in just bringing everyone together and making sure we're on the same page, and making sure that our efforts across all the departments are skewed one way. And then just like your hiring, so obviously we do have a fabulous team based in Manila, as well as the agents that we've got sort of around the world that use Desk. But we have a very robust hiring process for people, and we have the same for our software. So essentially, if it doesn't work for us, we drop it like a sack of potatoes. It might sound a bit ruthless, but for us anyway, being an e-commerce predominantly, an e-commerce that does have several stores now open, in the US in conjunction with Nordstrom and with David Jones here in Australia, which is a massive department store chain. It's crucial for us that we have software that works for us and works for our business and works for our team, to empower them to do what it takes to make our customers happy. So choose your software wisely. Choose it slowly if you have to. I think one thing that startups, young businesses and early businesses, is that we do tend to make rash decisions, and we can be reactive rather than proactive. So I would just advise to choose it slowly and do your research. And then lastly but not least, obviously I do head the customer happiness team at Choose a Prey, and one thing I found in my job that's been hugely important is that your culture in your company, no matter where you are based, or if you're based in several places, your company culture should be really, really strong, and everyone should feel it. And that's sort of tied into how we make our team happy. So obviously based in Manila, we were predominantly based in Sydney, now based in LA. So for me, just ensuring that our team feels connected to the business, feels empowered to do what they need to make our customers happy, and that they're happy. And as employees, if you take care of your team, they will take care of your customers. So that's essentially what I find it's all about.
Awesome, thank you so much. So that brings us to the end of the webinar. Dione, thank you so much for your time. We have a few questions that I just want to get through, and then if you guys have any more questions now as we're speaking, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll be happy to answer them. So you mentioned being in multiple locations. Like, our first question is, so do you support multiple languages, or do you guys just deal in English?
Okay, so our website actually does. There is a Spanish, French, German, and Japanese website. So admittedly, so the websites are obviously there to support customers of those languages. However, the team itself is not, French speaking, Spanish speaking, et cetera, et cetera. To be honest, we have gotten by translating most of our canned responses into the major languages like French and German, and that's been a huge help for our team. Between that and Google Translate, we get by. It's not perfect, that's for sure, but we haven't had any sort of major issues with understanding or helping our customers that way. And we do have a very, very high French, German, Spanish contingent. So I guess that's sort of how we help the multi-language customers.
Great, great. Another question, and I think I can, really quickly take this one. It's more of a internal question, but it's important. The question is it possible to upload full list of leads on Salesforce and be seen on Desk? So yes, Desk Connect, it basically enables, and this is a long story short, a bidirectional sync of all standard objects between Desk and Sales Cloud. So if you already have a Salesforce organization, that just makes it really, really easy for everybody who's not on your support team to see all the information that either your sales teams or your admins are inputting into Salesforce. And again, that's one of the many benefits to being part of Salesforce, is that we have a very, very fantastic and beautifully designed integration with our parent product. But really, really great question. I hope that answered it. And then, so Dione, for you, the final question is actually a little clarification. I think, again, you spoke so strongly to this. A little clarification might be great for the audience. Can you speak a little bit more to some of the KPIs that you look at in Business Insights to figure out how you can improve performance?
Performance of our customer happiness team.
Exactly.
So the main, okay, so main ones are obviously AHT is a big one, so average handle time. As a team, our goal is actually an average of 6.5 minutes, which might seem a bit high, but obviously you do have certain emails that do drive that average up. If you've got an unhappy customer, or I've mentioned this one before, design advice customer, we can spend a lot more time on those, whereas like something that we can throw a canned response in can take literally less than a minute. So 6.5 is our sort of team goal. We find that we can usually get that, and except for obviously times when we bring new members on board and that can sort of go up, or if, for example, one of the shoe stylists in our stores in the US accidentally leaves an email open. But the point being that, yeah, that's an indicator as to how efficient your actual use of Desk is, and how efficiently your staff are working. Time to first response. So our policy, I mean, we're still relatively small, and we would like to improve on this, but policy is to answer our emails within 24 hours on business days. So we look at the time to first response, and we look at that for each agent. So time to first response being literally the time from when the customer sends the email to us and it reaches the inbox to when we open it and resolve it. And this is really particularly important from the customer's perspective. And then the third one that we mainly look at is that case reopen rate. So that's sort of an indicator as to whether we're, answering a question, answering an email intelligently, understanding, using critical awareness to sort of identify what are the questions that could follow up from this. What's can I give the customer all the information up front? If you are, then in most cases you're going to have a low case reopen rate because the customer doesn't have any follow-on questions. So that's what you're after. And then I guess labeling is another. It's a sort of metric I guess you look at. So percentage of for example, if I notice that, percentage of emails marked late orders has spiked, that to me actually indicates an issue potentially with production, and that allows me to flag production issues and, hey, do we need to review the lead time on our website? Is there, have we had like an influx of orders that's, driving our lead time up and that sort of thing. So yeah, but mostly your case reopen rate, time to first response, average handle time, and then I look at labels.
Great. Dione, thank you so much. Honestly, this has been extremely valuable. I really hope the folks on the phone got as much out of it as I did. Honestly, I think you guys have an amazing business model, and I just think your approach to customer service is very, very clear. It's very, very, you very clearly articulated it, and I hope everyone got to see as much value as I did. So again, thank you so much for your time all the way on the other side of the world, for hopping on the phone with us, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.